this case is wild. And I'm just going to open with the quote. I thought I could cut myself to see if I could bleed. And that is a quote from Lizzie Halliday. Now, Lizzie Halliday was born in Ireland in 1864, and she came to the U.S. when she was three years old in 1867. Now, in 1879, she began to marry a slew of men, if you will, that all seemed to mysteriously disappear or pass away. I'm gonna grab my kombucha. Give me 1 second. Give me one second. Okay. Now, in 1879, Lizzie married Charles Hopkins. And Charles Hopkins was from Greenwich, New York. Mysteriously passed away. Then in 1881, she married a man named Artemis Brewer. And he too died a year later, mysteriously. And then in 1882, she married a man named Hiram Parkinson. And supposedly he had left her after the first year of marriage. Maybe he sensed things were a little sus, I don't know. Then she married George Smith, who was a veteran that actually served with her second husband, Artemis. And she had attempted to poison him by slipping some arsenic in his tea. To which, after this attempt, she supposedly fled to Bellows Falls, Vermont. cases like this, sometimes the information can get a little convoluted, but across the board, I believe she had several husbands. Then Lizzie Halliday kind of drops off for a little bit after she leaves Vermont, and then we catch up with her in 1888, where she moved to Philadelphia. Now, she stayed in Philadelphia with a family that she remembered or grew up with, or family she stayed in close contact with from Ireland that also came to America around the same time that she did. And I found several sources that said there was a saloon, a shop. It was very vague exactly what this McQuillan family did, but they all set up shop, and she took up an alias while she was in Philadelphia, and her alias's name was Maggie Hopkins, and she was very quickly convicted of burning down the shop that she had set up in Philadelphia while she was staying with this family, and supposedly she was attempting to claim some insurance money. She spent was sentenced to 2 years at the Eastern State Penitentiary, which I do believe I did a video on it. I say I do believe because I'm having a little bit of dementia right now, and I can't recall if I imagined that I did this video or if I really did this video. Does that ever happen to anybody ever? Tell me the truth. So if I truly did do this video, I will pop it here, and if I truly didn't do this video, it's clearly on my list. Thanks guys for putting up with me. Okay, so we then catch up again with Lizzie, or Maggie Hopkins, if you will, in 1889, which is why I'm confused that she was sentenced to 2 years, but we're caught up with her at this time in 1889. Again, dates are a little funky with cases this old. Information can be just a little bit funky as well, but we're gonna roll with it. So she became the housekeeper for a man named Paul Halliday. And he was a very old farmer. He was twice widowed. I believe he was 70. Now, supposedly, Mr. Halliday claimed that Lizzie did have spells of insanity, and he was speaking to this with people in his life. And 2 years into their marriage, their home burned to the ground, and a barn burned to the ground. Now I say a barn because a barn comes back up in a very little bit. And because he was a very successful farmer, I'm assuming maybe he had multiple barns, or maybe they just could build them as fast as, but I don't even know. So around 18 She was looked at for it, and a neighbor attested that he helped her bring a team of horses into town or to somewhere to be sold, and the whole thing was just a little sus. So, nothing came of this part of the investigation. However, I saw claims that she was acquitted for this, but I'm not entirely sure that is to be true because she will be charged in regards to this in a moment. I hope this is making a little bit of sense. This is just a little confusing with the dates, but it's very cool, very interesting, very creepy story. Now we are in 1891, and again, Lizzie is being looked at about just all this stuff. And again, these dates are around 1890 to 1893 that this whole thing is getting investigated. Now, supposedly, Mr. Halliday there, Paul Halliday's son, was in the home when it did burn down. He was a handicapped person, and supposedly Lizzie pretty much had no use for him as well. So they were really taking a deeper dive and a deeper look into this. Now, they felt that, and investigators, her own husband, really felt that Lizzie needed some care and attention that needed to be addressed. So she went to an asylum, very quickly recovered, quote unquote, and was released back into the care of her husband. Now, in August, her husband disappeared. This, 70-something-year-old man just poof, vanished. And she told neighbors that he was doing some masonry work. He, had a job. He was off doing a job. But suspicions arose with that very quickly. And once again, Lizzie was looked at by investigators. This is crazy to me. Okay. While Lizzie was being investigated, the police found the bodies of 2 young women, and they were buried in a barn under some hay. Now here's the barn again. So, this is where the story is a little interesting because the barn burned down, so I'm assuming this is a different barn. Perhaps in the, historical reports of this time, this timeline got a little convoluted. I'm not sure. But the consensus of the story is really, really interesting. So if you can bear with me with a mishmash of dates, I think we can get through it. So the police found these 2 young women, these 2 bodies, right? And they were identified as Margaret and Sarah McQuillan. Yes, this is the same family that Lizzie stayed with in Philadelphia. At least 2 of the young women from that family. Supposedly, Lizzie had asked them to come with her to the farm to work on the farm or work as a servant for her. I'm not entirely sure, but they just kind of popped up dead back in her life, and that's wild. They detained her immediately, and her behavior was increasingly erratic. According to reports, she was tearing clothes off of her body. She was pulling her hair out. She was very, very out of sorts, and she was so erratic that they almost couldn't tell if she was truly insane or if she was just an incredible actress. By the way, I don't know if I mentioned it, but Margaret and Sarah were found to be shot. And so they needed to do further investigation, and sure enough, they came across the mutilated body of Paul Halliday. He too was shot before this mutilation took place, and he was stuffed under the floorboards of their home. So again, their home burned down, but then we find Paul. So I'm imagining this is a timeline reporting error, but I'm not sure. Either way, crazy story. So Lizzie continued to act out so aggressively while she was in custody. She went on hunger strikes. She attacked guards. I did see a report that she attacked a sheriff's wife, which, why was the sheriff's wife there to begin with? I don't know, but supposedly there were reports of this. She attempted to set fire to her bed, which again, how would she even have access to something to catch her bed on fire? I don't know. I suppose you can just, I don't know. So eventually they had to chain her limbs to the floor to keep this woman at bay. Again, supposedly the press were eating this case up. It was very sensationalized, which again could add to these, wild reports of, all her limbs being chained to a floor and tearing off her clothes. I'm not sure. This case is very similar to the case of Martha Place. For me, there's something about them that is very reminiscent, and they both have connections, just like Amelia Dyer, which I'm gonna pop that video right there. There's connections to the Jack the Ripper murders again, which I know I've talked about a few times here, that I would love to do a video solely on the myths of that and the assumptions that several women serial killers could have been or taken part in the Jack the Ripper murders. Very interesting. So she was this Black Widow newspaper sensation. She had crazy hair. She was just wild, and everybody ate this up. Everybody ate this story right up. On June 21st, 1984, I doubt it, 1894, she was convicted at the Sullivan County Court for the murder of Margaret and Sarah McQuillan, and she was sentenced to be executed in the electric chair. As we know, in my video about Martha Place, Martha Place was the first, or one of the first, women to be executed by the electric chair. So Lizzie did not make it to do the electric chair. She was declared criminally insane, and she was sentenced to life in a mental institution where she would spend the rest of her life. This institution was called the Mattawan State Hospital. I believe I'm saying that correctly. Now, before her death on June 28th, 1918, Lizzie claimed one final victim in a truly insane, egregious situation and crime. She killed a nurse named Nellie Wicks, and she had made threats to this nurse supposedly for a few weeks or months, if you will, and finally succeeded in these threats by stabbing the nurse 200 times with a pair of scissors. Lizzie's memory infamy still haunts and exists in the Hudson Valley, Dutchess County area where she is penned. This is by, this is an article by a writer for the Hudson Valley magazine, and she has penned the worst woman on earth, and this is in the words of David Levine. She is also connected to the Whitechapel murders, but there are reports that she was interviewed for this, to which she said, quote, "Do you think I am an elephant?" That was done by a man. So she is a very peculiar character, I will say that. And thank you for bearing with me through the timeline of this, which is a little convoluted and confusing, but I hope you found it still riveting and interesting. I was chomping at the bit, doing my research and listening to people talk about this woman. She's just very, I don't know, there's something about this case that is just so wild to me that we have, especially this moment where they find the two young women that she supposedly was friends with. It's so strange and peculiar, so it's truly no wonder that this woman haunts the area of Dutchess County, Hudson Valley area. This is upstate New York region, so it's really no wonder that around every Halloween somebody has to talk about Lizzie. Just a really tingly name too. Tingly name. Thank you so much for this, you guys. I really appreciate every single one of you. I will see you very soon. Don't forget to stop over to Patreon. We have two to three videos each month that will not be on YouTube, so definitely stop over. I don't want you guys to miss out on that. You can also support the channel down below in the link below to the Patreon, and simply pledging $1. You could support the channel by clicking the link below to the Buy Me a Book / Buy Me a Coffee, where I have a list of true crime books that I'm trying to get my hands on for some future videos. Or simply liking, commenting, and subscribing. Let me know. Let me know what you guys think. Please give me your case requests, and don't forget that I promise we're almost done. That we are about to hit 1K, and that means that I'm going to be doing an awesome giveaway for you guys. And I want to do like a Q&A celebration video or something of that effect. So leave me your questions below. They can be true so much. So much, and I will see you